Hello and welcome again to the Writer Review. This is Eric Carruth Writer, and this week we're going to be taking a look back at the 1991 action thriller comedy titled The Last Boy Scout. Now, The Last Boy Scout runs for 1 hour and 45 minutes long. It is directed by the late Tony Scott. It is produced by Joel Silver and Michael Levy. The script was written by Shane Black, the guy who did the Lethal Weapons series for us. Um, in a way, sometimes I think this movie could almost feel a little bit like a Lethal Weapon type movie, but I will get to more of that in a bit. The story was done by Shane Black and Greg Hicks. The score was done by Michael Kamen. The cinematography was done by Ward Russell. And the editing was done by Stuart Baird and Mark Helfrich. And the stars of the movie are Bruce Willis, Damon Wayans, Chelsea Fields, Noble Willingham, Taylor Negron, Danielle Harris, Halle Berry, and Bruce McGill. When I first saw The Last Boy Scout, oh my goodness, I couldn't have been. I was probably about 15 years old. It was during it was during the high school exam period. Luckily, hey, it was a Friday night, so party on, dudes. And I had a chance to see it with a few of my friends. Being that I was a huge Bruce Willis fan, thanks mainly to the Die Hard series and his knack for playing roles as a flawed hero lured into dangerous situations and always coming out on top. Being that it was produced by Joel Silver and written by Lethal Weapon alum Shane Black, the temptation was just way too hard to resist. So it was great to see old Bruce go up against corrupt football gangsters while preparing for my midterms at the same time. I mean, let's face it, this movie was non-stop action, left, right, and center. If you are an action junkie or if you're an aficionado of action films with a dose of comedy taken into the same vein like the Lethal Weapon series, Die Hard, Tango and Cash, Running Scared from 1986, the one that starred Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines, this is the type of movie for you. This is definitely what you would call classic 1990s action stop non-stop action movies that's not watered down, that's like really hands down in your face. There's no stupid CGI green screen bullshit. Just everything seems to just fall into place. If you're into this kind of 1990s type of movie, this is definitely for all viewers to see. I really, really highly recommend it. It's probably up there among one of the best. If you are of the weak of heart, maybe this movie may not be for you because the violence is gratuitous, the action is top notch, and even the body count is pretty overwhelmingly mind boggling here. And even some of the way the characters die in the movie, there it's just what you would call creativeness. That is, if you're into this kind of movie. If you're not, well, I don't judge anyone. So here is Bruce Willis. He plays a former Secret Service agent, now private detective by the name of Joe Hollenbeck, who has become lured to drinking, sleeping in cars, and also making friends with a squirrel. And he is assigned to protect. So now he also is, he's been now lured to a private detective. I mean, he was once, this top notch, almost James Bond like Secret Service assassin, Now he is, like doing detective work. He's a scuzzy PI. He always seems to come across as being somewhat disheveled, disgruntled, and also a bit short-tempered. I mean, he's not afraid to point a gun at people, whether you like the person, you don't like the person, whether you deserve to have a pistol pointed at you, or whether you didn't deserve to have a pistol pointed at you. This guy is a fucking mess. But he seems to, like in the Die Hard movies, always seems to get the job done and always comes out on top no matter what situation he's facing. So now, he has been assigned to protect a stripper who goes by the name of Corey, played by Halle Berry. Unfortunately, tragedy is struck when Corey gets killed by a hitman and is eventually assigned to join forces with her mad boyfriend who was an ex NFL player named Jimmy Dix, played by James White, but played by Damon Wayons. He's a former football star, and he was banned from the NFL for a year on accounts of gambling and for taking some kind of substances that is illegal to the code of ethics in the NFL. So, it's just what you would simply call the old misery deserves company. I mean, here we have Bruce Willis's character who's kind of like down on his luck, who has been lowered. And there we have Jimmy Dix, who is also lowered. These guys, throughout most of the movie, seem to squabble. They don't get along very well. Jimmy Dix definitely has a low opinion towards Caucasian guys, but still somehow feels the need that Hollenbach is his only hope to get to the bottom to catch whoever it was that killed his wife. So moving forward, we got a cornucopia of impressive set pieces. The duo battle their way into a bribery plot in which federal bureaucrats are going through measures to find a way to make sports gambling legal. Somebody by the name of Shelley Marcone, played by Noble Willingham. He is a corrupt, I think he's a senator of some sort. He is trying to do everything he can to rig the football system and to make sports gambling legal. Of course, we all know that if that rigging football teams and trying to get them closer and closer to the Super Bowls is illegal, but because Noble Willingham is a very corrupt individual, he will go through great lengths. And he has a lot of top ranked men to go after both Hollenbach and Jimmy Dix. And just like almost every 1990s action film, we see cars being blown up, bad guys are getting killed by the numbers, and of course, if you want to make light of the situation, there are of course lots of one-liners that are as cheeky as they ever were, marked with outstanding execution and clever delivery. So this movie is not just some brainless popcorn blow 'em up type of action movie like you would see in the 1990s. This movie does have some intellectual merit from it and outstanding performances all around. It's kind of a shame that the movie never gets the accolades it deserves. I mean, in spite of its over the top delivery, it's a very, very underrated action comedy. It didn't get its praises by the critics. But if you get the chance to watch it, you will definitely not be disappointed. It got a lot of approval from the fans, but the critics were very, very hard on it. Aside from the excellent performances by the leads of Bruce Willis and Damon Wayans, the supporting cast was equally impressive, especially from Bruce McGill. He wasn't on very long, but hey, he still actually managed to pull off a very, very small role. He gets killed early on in the movie, but he was supposed to be a loyal friend of Bruce Willis's character Hollenbeck, but then he caught him sleeping with his wife. So that kind of ended the friendship, and then he goes into a car, and the car blows up, and he dies. So he was kind of knocked off a bit early. And then you had Noble Willingham as the corrupt senator who wants to legalize sports gambling. And then we have the villain Taylor Negron who wants to take down Hollenbeck. And he was, of course, the brains behind the operation as to the death of Corey. He was pretty slick and suave as the villain character. I like the way how he actually speaks in this authoritative voice. You're not Joe, you're Joseph. You're not Jimmy, you're James. He's got that kind of swagger about him. That's pretty impressive. Shane Black's script may at times feel like a brainstormed idea for a lethal weapon, but it still succeeds to bring a smile on the faces of those who like fast paced action scenes and sardonic humor to go around. With and it just fits in very well. The dialogue is quite spot on as it's smart, and even through multiple viewings it never gets stale. And this may not be, Tony Scott's best work, which is not a well argument due to all the exciting stuff you see here. Sure, the original screenplay was doctored a bit, but it's still far from being a complete dud. In fact, it's not a dud at all. This is this is typical 90s action at its best. It probably couldn't get any better. I mean, I even sometimes think it might have exceeded some of the other Lethal Weapon movies. I mean, Lethal Weapon 3 was pretty watered down, and Lethal Weapon 4 was just running out of ideas. But this movie makes you just wish you would just hop into a time machine and relive the 1990s. Sad how things have changed compared to 25, 26 years ago. The escapism couldn't be any better with high adrenaline inducing action along with scintillating characters and a story that pulls no punches. Just bombs, just explosions, just deaths, just a lot of shoot'ems. Oh, well, maybe a few punches here and there, maybe a few foot chases and car chases. It's all excitement at its best. This is another fine line of classic action films that the 1990s was famous for. It is that damn good. If I have any gripes, it would have to be the Blu-ray, which it doesn't really contain any kind of extras. And sure, it might be a bit too pricey to have a full-fledged documentary of the film regarded by the critics who refer to it as a dud, but it would have been a treat to see interviews from the performers and the crew in the making of The Last Boy Scout. Other than that, it was a very well crafted film with a lack of any behind the scenes coverage. It's a real shame when you think about it. Kind of sad when you think about it. It makes the forgotten all the more forgettable. And it doesn't deserve that. It deserves just as much attention as the diehards and the lethal weapons and the Tango and Cashes. That this movie kind of falls in that same category. But still, hey, that's not gonna dampen my spirits. That's not gonna keep me thinking with the glass half full, because this movie is more than just a glass half full. It is completely full. So with that, and so when all said and done, if I was to give a score out of 10, I would give The Last Boy Scout a 9. It is really that good. So I guess this ends my rider review. Thank you all for listening in. If you wish to subscribe to my channel, please feel free to do so. If you wish to leave a comment, go right ahead. Just remember, be kind, be courteous, and don't be rude. And I will be back again with another movie review. So until next time, this is Eric Corrupt Writer saying keep watching those movies, and I'll see you around. Goodbye.